your socket gets stuck in there because the extension it's removable, right? From these sockets. My favorite tool. I don't usually geek out over tools, but I love these. Welcome back to the channel. Today, we're gonna be replacing the spark plugs on this LX570. Now the process is the same, whether it is a Toyota Tundra, a Land Cruiser, or an LX570. Anything with this 5.7 liter, and even the other V8 options. I think it's the 4.6 liter on the Tundras you can get as well. The process is very similar, so follow along. First thing you wanna do is get some good lighting. I use this underhood DeWalt light, and it's absolutely awesome. Look at that, daylight, boom. I'll put the link down in the description if you want one. The spark plugs I'm gonna be using are these NGK Iridium IX spark plugs. They are the 2309 LFR 7AIX. These are not the ones you wanna use on your engine if you're staying naturally aspirated. I'm putting these in because we have a TRD supercharger that's also gonna go on in a couple of weeks when some other parts arrive. And those are the spark plugs that are one step colder than stock that I'll be using. I'm gonna put the links to these along with the part numbers down in the description. These are the ones you wanna use if you are going supercharged, and if you're not going supercharged, it's gonna be the other ones down in the description. First thing we wanna do is take off all these plastic covers. That one pops off, and then this front section is gonna be different based on which car you have. On some of them you've got 1, 2, and then a middle one. On some you have different shaped plastic covers, but they're all really going to be held down by these plastic clips. And you pop those out one by one, get them all out, and then the plastic cover just lifts up. To pull this one out, you lift up from the front. There you go. And it comes out like that. If you look at the bottom, you've got these two brackets right here and right here that go onto that bar. So that slips in first. And then you've got a few clips here, here, and here on this particular one that push down onto these little studs, these little bumps. We got all these plastic clips out. If you notice, this is the only one I have that looks like it's OEM. These break all the time. I hate them. Well, yeah, one more actually. The ones I like to use are these, where you put the cradle in and then just push the pin into the cradle. And they come out and go in much easier. You can reuse them multiple times. They don't break as easily. I'll put the link in the description for these. You get them on Amazon. I think it's like a pack of 50 or something. They're dirt cheap. If you have any kind of Toyota, they're great to have in the garage. Now that all those are off, you should just be able to lift this up. There it goes. We're gonna put it aside. There we are. Now we got a good view of the engine. The spark plugs on these modern Toyota V8s are gonna be under your coils. You've got 1, 2, 3, and 4 coils. This side's not terrible to get to. The coils are held on by one bolt, and then when you take that bolt off, the whole coil comes out. You just pull it straight out like a normal spark plug boot, and the spark plug's gonna be under there. On this side, as you can see, there's some stuff in the way. So we're gonna wanna remove this air box. Super easy to get out. I'll show you how. And then once you remove this air box, you'll basically remove this top clamshell, take it off from here, and then the bottom, you can remove, there's just a couple bolts that hold it in place. Then you'll have access much easier to the coil packs. You got one back there, one here, one there, and there's one towards the front, right about here. All right, well, he undoes that screw on the clamp. We're gonna take this top clamshell off the filter housing. Got another one right there, and there should be one right over here. So undo all of those. Now you want to take this little connector off. You'll squeeze the, there's a pin right there. Squeeze that this way and it comes right off. Then we want to use a little flathead and compress that little clip on either side, that side and that side of this, and pull this wire connector out. Now that that's out, this top clamshell should come right out. There you go. That's what the underneath looks like. We're gonna put it aside. I had previously replaced this filter, so it should be super clean. Oh, look, there's a little leaf on there. A little bit of crud, but that thing's still pretty new. You know, on this one, this lower piece of the clamshell is low enough to where I don't think I need to take it out. if you need to take it out on your particular truck, it's really simple. You got one bolt there on this one. You've got one bolt right there. And, oh, there's the other one right there. Take those three out. This piece of plastic, the bottom clamshell just comes right out, and you can get it out of the way, free up a bunch of space. I'm gonna try to leave it in. Now I'm gonna start on the driver's side and undo all of these coils. You gotta remove this 10mm bolt right here and pop them off. Got the bolts out of all of them. Now, you would just wanna grab it by the collar. Don't grab it by the wire. Grab it by the actual collar of the coil. They should come right out, generally. There you go. And if you don't have enough slack on the wires, you do need to disconnect it. Don't tug on these wires. You don't want them pulling out on you. Yeah, looks like it's gonna be easier to unplug it. All right, that's unplugged. Now, take the coil, pull it all the way out. There you go, that's the coil. Now, first thing you wanna check on the coils as you pull them out one by one. Make sure there's no oil dripping or soaked on any of the neck or the collar or whatever this is called on the coil. If there is, then you need to pull your valve cover and replace your valve cover gasket and the donuts. If there's not, you're good to go, and you just need to replace your spark plugs. So I'm gonna pull these out one by one. I'm gonna keep them in the same order so I know which one went where, and then I'm gonna come back and get the spark plugs out and put the new ones in. Got these four out. Before I get to the spark plugs, I'm gonna get the other four out as well. That way I can use my time efficiently, so I'm not going back and forth between tools. All right, we got first, second, and third one out on this side of the motor. This last one has this bracket over it. It's held down by two 12mm bolts. You see that one right there, and there's one down there. So I'm gonna grab my 12mm socket, get those two off, and yeah, then we can remove that last coil. Got all the coils here lined up. I'm gonna go grab my fancy spark plug tool. You guys gotta see this one. I love it. This is by far my favorite tool. So you've got a few different types of spark plug sockets. You got the wide open ones. You've got the ones with the little rubber grommet in them, like these. Got the little rubber thing in there to hold them. And then I found these. It's a set, comes with different lengths, different sizes. And there's two cool things about it. One, swivels. It's really nice to have one that swivels. It's already built in like that. The other piece is that it's magnetic. So you're never gonna have your brand new spark plug that's pre-gapped, or you gapped it, you took all that time to get it correct, and then you're putting it in there, and then boom, all of a sudden it falls in and your gap's all messed up. So, can I do this with one hand? Yep, there you go, magnetic. Doesn't fall out, and it's just enough magnetic force to where you can put it in, get your tool out. The other thing that sucks is whenever you have the extension on these types, sometimes your socket gets stuck in there because the extension it's removable, right, from these sockets. This set, the extension is a piece of the socket, so they're not gonna separate after you're ready to pull your socket out and you've installed your new spark plug. So, my favorite tool. I don't usually geek out over tools, but I love these. I'm gonna put a link down in the description if you want a set. So let's go get back to work. Got all four of the new spark plugs in, old ones out, new ones in, and look what I found. So I put them next to the cylinders they came out of. Old, still in good shape, old, still in good shape. I'll come back to that one. Old, still in good shape. Whoever put this in did not tighten it all the way, and you can see that there was combustion gases getting past this one onto the stem. Interesting, huh? I wonder if that's why I had a little bit of a miss here and there. The electrode looks fine. It's not burnt out or anything. Hard to see in the video. Is that better? So the electrode looks okay. But yeah, gross. That's probably why the end of this coil also looks a little bit different. If you can tell, it's a little browned. It's seeing a little bit more heat. It's still flexible, it's still squishy. That's the first thing I checked. Once that starts to get hard and it's not squishy anymore, you want to replace either that end piece if it's replaceable, or replace the coil. So I'm going to get over to the passenger side, get those done. Now that all the new spark plugs are in, I'm going to go ahead and insert all of the coils, just get them into place. Coils are back on this side and on this side. Got all of them back in. You can tell they're not bolted down yet. So I pushed them in first, then I put all of the wires and clipped them on. And now I'm gonna go back and put the 10mm bolts in each one, get them nice and firmed up in place. And last, I'll go back and put the 12mm bolts on that bracket. Got everything back together. I put the air filter and the top of the clamshell back. Make sure you plug your MAF back in, your airflow sensor. Is that the MAF? Well, whatever that was. I think that's the MAF. Make sure you plug that back in. Connect your little tab right there to keep the wiring in place. Just do a once over, check over everything. It's a good opportunity to check everything else while you're under here as well. On these Land Cruisers, the 200 series and the LX570s, you've got a point of failure right here around the radiator. This is the old style radiator. The new style isn't raised up as much, and these are more prone to cracking. They crack right around the perimeter of this rectangle section. So make sure that you don't have any cracking, any leaking. If you see any reddish, pinkish around that, then it's time to start planning on when you're going to replace that radiator. This one's all good. Make sure you check your power steering, your coolant levels, check your oil. You're already under here, you might as well, right? If everything's all good, the only thing left to do is put on the engine cover and that plastic cowling up here, and we'll be good to go. Now that it's all done, you want to make sure you start it up and everything works fine. All right, go ahead. Perfect. Sounds good. Don't hear any misses. Nothing sounds like it's firing out of order. Everything's good. All right. There you go. That's the whole procedure. That's how you change the spark plugs on a Land Cruiser, an LX570, or a Tundra. Hopefully you find this video helpful. And if you're looking for more fun Land Cruiser content, any other maintenance items and things, I try to upload whatever I do. So check out the rest of the videos on the channel. In the meantime, I love you guys. God bless. See you next time.